Jim Brosi, president of the FDNY, Uniformed Fire Officers Association, joins us now. Jim, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Jim, I can't imagine that this announcement is anything but pure spitting in the face of Americans, especially New Yorkers. I don't see another way to spin it.
I'm not sure I can spin it any other way. I mean, I've heard it described as a gut punch. I've heard it described as disappointing. I would go as far as to say it is an act of betrayal. There is some sentiment that I feel as if they've almost waited long enough to kind of numb the senses of those survivors that still exist, to remove a generation or two away from the event in hopes that people won't remember the horror that was inflicted by these three individuals. And at this point, you know, our faith in government and their ability to prosecute known terrorists who committed an act of murder on over 3,000 people is it's appalling and extremely, extremely disappointing.
I can't help but think also there was new footage that was released by a Japanese gentleman claiming to have a completely different angle of the attacks on the World Trade Centers. What did you think of that? I mean, I think the timing of that is strange and sad, but also just it provided us another aspect. And to your point, there's a little bit of numbness when it comes to the distance of that event. A lot of kids now walking around who weren't even alive at the time that this happened. But I would imagine that it's still very fresh. Like, this is not something that you just say, this happened a while ago, oh, whatever.
Well, to that point, unfortunately for the New York City Fire Department, for the New York City fire officers, for those who lived or worked below Canal Street, for those who volunteered their time, this is an everyday event because most of us are suffering the ill effects of that day. Many people have perished since that day. We've exceeded the number of 343 members who died that day in cancer-related illnesses, and we continue to care for the sick and dying at an average of 3 per month. And for us, we can't get away from it. No one needs us to tell us to never forget. But to the point of even the new information, why is this information so slow to come out? Why were we deprived a military trial to hear the details of what these individuals had gone through, how they breached the American security system, how they breached the American safety? And even if they weren't found guilty to the point of being given the death penalty, why were we denied the process? Why is the notification a letter to the families of 9/11 with little explanation other than complications at the trial level? And if it was this complicated over the last 20 years, why did it take so long to come to this conclusion?
It's a great question. I know that the American people are asking a lot of questions of our government agencies recently, given all that has happened in the last month even. The Biden administration, on the other hand, in response to this news, claims they were not involved in this decision. What do you say to that?
I find it difficult to believe that a decision such as this, that affects all Americans, largest attack on American soil, reached a conclusion without at least the knowledge of the president. I don't know whether or not he has influence in the outcome of that decision, but to say that they were unaware of the process or the decision to accept a plea seems unreasonable. And it is troubling that we would require a plea when the overwhelming evidence of the involvement of these three individuals, they were well known before they were captured. There may have been complications associated with their rights being violated in the process of overturning some evidence that they may have been aware of. And that may have caused complication in the trial process. But to reach a conclusion, to release at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, that they will no longer be seeking a trial and no longer seeking the death penalty in a written letter to the families of 9/11 is, I would say, one of the greatest disgraces to the people who lived that day and continue to suffer as a result of that event.
For all our viewers asking where One America News is heading in the future, we would like to introduce you to OAN Live. OAN Live is the best way to stay up to date on all of the hard-hitting, straight-shooting, national and international headlines. And the best part is, OAN Live is only $4.99 per month. All the credible, honest, unbiased reporting One America News offers at a fraction of the cost of cable. Just go to OANN.com to easily sign up for OAN Live and stay informed.